Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Ray Petty, and this is Ray Petty Meccanica. As you can see from the bikes and the signage, we do Ducatis. I've been doing Ducatis for so long, it hurts now. I can't even remember when I started. It's at least 30 years ago. As you can see from the bikes outside, all predominantly Italian. There's a flat tracker here that we built, and Max, who was in charge of that project, will come and talk to us about it in a little while. As we walk past, you'll see we walk past a very nice 996 with a single seat, a Strada seat. That's in for an annual service, and behind it is an old 1980s Mike Howard replica. I had a collapsed gearbox bearing, which is a very expensive repair, but these motorcycles are going up exponentially every year, so it's definitely worth the effort and worth the expense. So let's go and have a look inside, and we'll see what we got. So this is the working area. This is my working area. You can see the special tools on the wall. You can see what can only be described as a fully comprehensive toolkit. If we haven't got it, we don't need it. Everything we've got is to do the job that we do. So if you've been wondering how long I've been doing this, there's a couple of pictures here of me. One was when I was sweet 19 and the other about 20. And if you can see this one, this was my first motorcycle I ever built. If you can ignore the flares and the perm and the moccasins, which you probably can't, you'll see that there's a Yamaha 250 calf racer there that I built in my bedroom at my mother's. There's another picture of me some years afterwards on a really old BM in, I think that was in the south of France. I was about 21 then. So I've been doing this an awful long time. I'm 61 now, so it gives you an idea. That's over 40 years of motorcycling. So this is the team. This is Max, and this is George. George has been with us for about 2 or 3 years now. Yeah, and he's been at college. He's just finished his college day release, and now he's working on customers' bikes, and he's doing a very good job. Okay, so on the bench we got an MTS 1200, a Multistrada 1200 with the Testastretta 11 degree motor. This is a 2013 model. It's in to have its cam belts changed. As you can see, I'm about 2 hours into it. I can't even see the cam belts yet. But trust me, they're in here, and we'll get to them eventually. So that's changing the cam belts. A cam belt service on this bike is probably 8 to 10 hours in the workshop. So what you'll find is a lot of these motorcycles, before they get to the required mileage, people get rid of them and get another new one because this is such an expensive. This is when only the Ducati becomes expensive. On this bench we have a 1100 Evo Monster that has damaged its crankshaft. It had an oil starvation problem, and so I replaced the crankshaft. Max has reinstalled the motor, and we're just about to kick it off and kick it into life for the first time. And we're pretty confident now that it's got oil pressure and that it's going to be fine, and we can deliver it back to the customer on Monday after an MOT. What we've got here is an 07 GT 1000. Now these bikes, when they came out, Ducati couldn't give them away. But since then they've become somewhat of a cult classic, and they're quite sought after. We see a lot of them, and we do a lot of customization work on them. In fact, I believe your very own Dutch recently had one and sold it on. But I know Dutch is a fan. As you can see on the wall, we have the Ray Petty logo, and we have the Death Machine London logo. So both businesses are operated from here. Death Machines is myself and James Hilton, along with Max and George, and Ray Petty Meccanica is me, Max and George alone. Let's take a look at a Death Machines bike. That's probably the most famous Guzzi on the planet. This Guzzi now is called Airforce. It was built in 2018 by us and featured at the Bike Shed show of that year, which was built to honour Giovanni Ravelli, who was one of the founding members of the Moto Guzzi bike business. He died before the business got off the ground, and so the eagle in their logo is actually to honour his association with the bike. So we built that bike to honour him. We built it to look similar to a biplane of the time in which he was a test pilot and when he was killed. If you look on Moto Guzzi's homepage, I believe it's still on there, and also we've done a 20-minute video with Ross at the Bike Shed, and you can look at that on a separate YouTube channel if you're interested. All the lathe work that we do in-house on this little lathe here. This lathe has produced every piece of specialist turning that we've required since we started building bikes. It's small, but it works, and we're very fond of it, and without it we simply couldn't do what we do. Okay, so moving on, what we see here is that this featured in the first 2 or 3 Bike Shed shows ever. It's a JAP engined Harley bobber, totally one of its kind. It took me about 3 years to complete it. It's utterly unique. It's a 1270 exposed pushrod dog-eared Jap engine is what it's called. Those of you who know such things will know that the Brough Superior was powered by JAP, as were most of the motorcycles during the 20s and 30s. And JAP was based in Tottenham in North London. We do a lot of classic restoration. The older I get, the older the bikes are getting. I don't know what that means, but this is a 1980 Mike Howard replica. This was built, they rushed these out in 1979 to commemorate Mike Howard's senior win at the TT. He came out of retirement and won the senior TT on a machine very similar to this. These have become collectible now, and we probably look after about a dozen of them, and I've restored at least 6, I believe. It's what's called a square case bevel. The camshafts are run by bevels, and this was the predecessor to the modern Ducatis that they then changed this system for a belt. So this was an early incarnation, still a 90-degree V-twin, and it is really in the spirit of where they came from, and it's a true classic. So we do a lot of work on those, and the value of these is rising every year exponentially. So people tend to spend a lot of money on them, keeping them in fine order. The only thing with owning one of these is you need really, really deep pockets and really long arms. But what price glory? Okay, so that's an average day at Ray Petty Meccanica. Every day it changes, and which is why it's interesting, and we meet a lot of interesting people. Now I promised that I would call Max in to talk about his project, which is this dirt tracker. It was built under the Deaf Machines logo. Max, can you come and have a word with him about the motorcycle? Yeah. Marvellous. Max, if you can just tell us what the thinking was behind this and why it happened and why it exists.
So the motor is all a bit of a pizza, because the motor is off my old Monster 900 first generation. The frame is a second generation Monster. The swing arm is a Monster 600 that George crashed. Front end is off a 1098. It's got some custom built top and bottom yoke. But for the rest, the bike has actually been purpose built from the petrol tank down to the fueling system, to the bodywork, etc, etc, etc. One-off exhaust.
Okay, and I see it's breathing through the. What carbs have you got on it?
It's running flat slides, okay. 41 flat slides. I think they're the best. They're the best carbs for this particular motor. Oh, okay. We also tilted the engine backwards a bit. And it's got an adjustable headstock.
And how's it been?
Up and downs.
That's racing.
Up and downs. We done all right first meeting, not so well on the second one, but then we've done a lot of changes to the geometry of the bike, and the bike is evolving.
So it's a work in progress?
It's definitely a work in progress, yeah, very much so.
Are you racing tomorrow at Mile and Mile?
We're down at the Mile tomorrow, yeah, we've got a couple of races that we entered in, which would be interesting considering that the bike's gone off on brakes or anything. And I'll be the one riding it, which normally I'm not. Normally we got a rider, a gentleman called Peter Boast, that runs the Champions flat track school, as well as been involved in every sort of racing that you can possibly imagine.
So if you're not in Monday, I know what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You get a call on Sunday.
I'll ignore it. Right. Thanks for talking to us about that, Max. Well, there we are, Ray Petty Meccanica.
So this one is how it sounds like.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to subscribe to the Bike Shed video YouTube channel. There's loads of custom bikes on there. If you like bikes, you'll like the Bike Shed. Full stop. Thank you for watching. We're filming, aren't we? Oh, fuck. I've just